Welcome. It's your boy. Nah, just kidding, man. I'm just messing with y'all. It was a good way to enter the video. Anyways, um, I don't know, man. I grabbed my cup of coffee. It didn't sit well with me, but I made this a couple of minutes ago, this video. Look, somebody yesterday in the comments said something about talking about 7 years. I said, okay, I'll talk about the 7 years. I give them a little bit in the comment section. But look, the follow up on that deal is this. He didn't really live up to his end of the bargain, which was depositing money, right? So that makes it hard for me to help him help me. He wants to hear more about this 7 years. Well, he's got a Bible channel. It's a little biblical. I really want to entertain what he wants to talk about, but at the same time, if I'm not getting paid, I don't like to talk about. I do like to talk about it, so I put it back in the comments to him, but I don't want to talk about it on live if you're not going to pay. You're not a paying customer. Why would I then take the time to go live? I don't know. It's just a different way of looking at it. Look, I love everybody equally, and I don't know if he has ill will. I kind of put in the comments, I was like, I don't know what your intentions are by asking this question, but I said I was an open book. I'd answer everything. At the same time, if I'm not getting paid, then I can't do a show. You know what I'm saying? There's no point in me going into the specifics and the names and who and what goes on in there, what goes on in prison, and there's a lot of heartache and turmoil. So if I'm going to bring that up, I think there should be some compensation at this point. A year worth of torture, or what I said, 2 years, because I did a year in county plus 4 months at a halfway house. If anyone wants to know what they're going to be going through or what they're going to go up against in the near future with their lives, and the fact that everybody's going at some point in their life, either that or they will know someone that has been incarcerated or has been jailed or has gotten multiple infractions and led them to the county. If you want to learn how to beat the system, if you have a case that you want answers to and you don't know how to file discovery, this is a good channel to come on and just spitball ideas. I can be whatever you want. I can be that lawyer. I can be that writ of habeas corpus guy. I can be that guy in federal lawsuits. I can be. I'm kind of like a jack of all trades. I can take phone calls and get on the line with other people and tell them what my opinion is. Can I give legal advice? Well, maybe not. But in my opinion, this is what you should do. Or at this stage of your court or impending court, you may want to file for discovery. You may want to throw in a motion. There's just a different, nobody's going to help you out. You're like, oh, I got my DUI, I'm stuck, I'm this, I'm that. Nobody's going to help you out. You got to do it for yourself, and you got to ask for help. Otherwise, you're going to get taken by the system, and they're going to take your money. They're going to take your car. I can give you avenues, ways to keep your car, ways to keep not have to put a blow box in your car. Certain things that skirt around what the law is doing, what the law is trying to do. I promote the law if the law is keeping people safe. But if you come to me and you say, well, I'm not guilty of this, and they did this, this, and this to me, and then they drugged me out of my car, they took my car, they repoed my car. There are some things you have to do from the get to be able to get your car back. You have to be at that tow yard within a day or two, But again, this is paid content. This is members only exclusive content. This isn't stuff that I want to put out on the internet and be like, oh yeah, everybody can just, utilize my resources. My resources are what my resources are. They're tried and true for 40 plus years. They worked for 38 of them years, and then after 38, I got thrown in prison. And on top of that, I've been in jail probably 40 times. So, but you ask yourself, how does a guy get to that point where he's been in and out so many times and he just knows the system? And he's also filed lawsuits against the city, against the police department, against qualified immunity. He's lost things, he's won things. I may have lost on their qualified immunity, but that was before George Floyd got choked out. That's before Eric Garner got choked out in New York City. Terry v. Ohio is just, it's such a good law that I feel everybody that doesn't know what Terry v. Ohio is, you should go look it up and just educate yourself in the Supreme Court law of the land or the federal statutes, and understand when you're poor and when you're driving a car and you have no driver's license, or you do have a license, but you want to know why they're pulling you out of your car for safety purposes or reasons. And when they quote Terry v. Ohio, make sure they're quoting what they're saying. If someone says Terry v. Ohio, you should listen very closely as to what comes out of his mouth next. It's a very proper point to pay attention to an officer. That way you don't get yourself in legal trouble. You can escape going to jail by doing a few good things, by listening and by doing the right things at that point, like getting out of your car. Now, of course, people that are carrying stuff, packing stuff, they're, clearly wrong. You're not going to do that. You're not going to do that. You're going to run. You're going to do things that just set the whole thing to where you're going to jail immediately. So if I can help you stay law-abiding, stay on the right side of the law, money dictates a lot of this stuff, right? Because no insurance, and you're going to get a no insurance ticket, you're going to jail. But to make it worse for yourself, it's like, it just doesn't have to be. Now, other ethnic groups would say, yeah, it does have to be like this. It is like this in my neighborhood. This is how they police. Well, I'm telling you that they profile you from the minute you come out of your house. They got cameras on you because you're in a busy city. The intersections where you're running the red lights at, it's racking up those traffic infractions every time you go through a red light. And when a cop finally does pull up behind you, the last thing he sees is the last time you run a red light. Well, what's he do? He grabs for his gun and he takes care of the issue. I wish it wasn't so. I wish that was untrue, what I just said. It's just not. It's the things that you do in a day and the minor infractions that you make as a kid or an adult or someone learning on the road, it follows you all the way through life. Adolescents or not, they don't care. In other states, there's high probability that you're going to get your driver's license taken just by going over the points. South Dakota's a little bit different. They don't assess points for speeding. So if you like to speed, come to South Dakota. Our speed limit's 80. We get where we're going pretty quickly. The interstates are usually not clogged up. They're not. Speed traps are a thing around here, around the cities. That's about it, the big city. But if you move away from the big city, a lot of freedom. I didn't want to stay live too long today. What's up, Teresa? Struck by lightning. I firmly believe that by not speaking out and not helping your fellow man, by not helping those people that are in court cases get out of the court cases or fight the court cases or win one or two battles in their court case, because it can easily sway whether you do 10 days or 6 months. And that's a big chunk to do. So if you need someone to talk to, and we got a couple guys throughout the community that are very wise and expertise on the law. James Freeman being one of them. Um, there was another guy, Autotron, Otto. I forget his name. Otto, something. It's been a long time since I've seen him. He's been in many different cities. I've seen him sitting in the middle of California as a homeless guy, just picking up work as a window washer. I've seen him in New York. I've seen him traveling the subways in New York. I mean, no matter what, uh, and he's a guy that can write a writ habeas corpus. And I've seen him work with Chris Powers, and it's just it's a mind-blowing thing to watch these people work and get in the community and work with Friends in Code and work with all these people that come together. Well, who's another guy? I can't think of his name right now. Eric Brandt, and he's really good in legal, and then Otto the Watchdog is really good in legal also. Just as far as advocating for no FTP signs. So if you're flying a sign and you get a ticket, you may want to talk to Otto because, geez, he knows he was carrying a sign and flying a sign, and if it says bad words on it or whatever. But again, Cohen versus California, it's supposed to be protected speech, but somehow America has flipped it, turned it, and made it, a joke of Cohen versus California. Um, Even in my case, when you say, in my opinion, before you speak, and then you let fly what you want to let fly. So I made that conscious effort to say that, and yet you still get charged with 7 years. I don't know what to say about that. The cop's not using discretion. He's not going back, listening to his recording, and he doesn't care. It's because he doesn't value freedom of speech. And no better way than to put my point on record than to say it in a phone call, record it on my channel, privatize it, and then play it later, to prove your point. It's not the point that you went and did 7 years for what they said you did, or you did a year. Not the point. Or you just about lost your life in there, or, these things you don't want to talk about. I mean, things that inmates don't, they just go, they do their time, they get out, they don't complain about it, because who are you going to complain to? Nobody's listening. Just know that I care about you here on this channel. People care about you when you're driving in a car, how to operate your motor vehicle in a manner that says, I'm a respectable, law-abiding citizen, without really being. I mean, there's places where you can speed and there's places where you can't. In the city, I mean, there's rules that I follow. If you only go 10, 15 over, or 15% or 12% over the posted speed limit. So if you're doing, if you're only going 30, you should only be going 32, 33, 35 miles an hour. You really don't want to be going 10 over in a 35. They can tell just by looking at your vehicle passing other vehicles that you're speeding. And the assumption that they take in court, even when they're not using a radar or LiDAR, is that, hey, he was speeding. And I visually seen it. And he was passing other cars, and I just assumed. And that's good enough to get you on a speeding, This is where the lie comes in, the white lie. And they've won so many of my court cases by doing just that. If you throw mud at the wall and see what sticks, that's the name of their game, How do you beat that? Again, when you pay attention to the speed limit signs, when you do follow the rules to a certain extent, using apps, Waze, using Google, using things that help you spot them before they spot you, using a Rocky Mountain radar. You might pay $400 or $500, but when it's in your car and it's installed, it works very well for speed traps. And it does detect them. So whether they're popping it on right away or later on or whatever, they're coming within about 5 miles, Anyways, just know that when they say you can't be a lawyer, you can't be legal, you can't give legal advice, well, I can tell you how to not break the law, and show you that there's a different way and talk to you in a way that you get it, so that you don't further hurt your life, and that you work your way out of the problems and not getting yourself deeper into the problems. If you don't want the advice, that's fine. I just know from doing it for 40 years battling with these guys, I know that I've won. And it took me a long time to figure out what the winning combination cheat code was. So how do you win when you're cheating? And how do you win? So if someone puts you in jail 40 times, the answer is get put into prison so that they can no longer put you into jail. Then it quits. They can only charge you with felonies. They can no longer charge you with misdemeanors. Meaning they tend to charge you different when you're a felon. They stack charges differently. They let you out. They'll run 15 felonies and then they'll let you out a year later. I mean, I've seen a lot of people with some heinous crimes and they just let them out. You stole a car last night, but you're on parole. So they just, boom, they kick you out. They make you sit 4 to 6 months, boom, you're back out on the streets. Again, you go into the prison, you get logged into Jameson, you come up to the hill, you roll over to, by the time you're on month 4 to 6, you're out in Springfield. Again, it's just one big dorm and a party out there. There is no guards watching inmates. They just sit at the front desk. They don't want to get in your face because they know what'll happen. They'll go tumbling down the stairs, so they just don't do it. If you really want to know how to win, it's pretty simple. Because when you're sick of jail and when you're sick of what doesn't work in life, you're just willing to do what is necessary to get by, to win, to make sure that they spend max amount of dollars incarcerating you and everyone around you, but also depleting their funds, depleting their societal income. So everybody's addicted, everybody's stuck in the dumps, and you're like, this is bad, right? Well, it's good if the residual door just keeps opening and shutting and opening and shutting. It makes them keep working, and it makes them work 24/7, and you're always giving them something to do. And not only just for you, but your entire family, your extended family, everybody that you know, everybody that you indoctrinate just the way that they do, only you do it so that their system's packed and they're full and they got stuff to do. Then they realize that they no longer can come after you because they got bigger fish to fry. I mean, there's people out there now hurting people. Like now it's always an epidemic. It's an epidemic of opioids, but then now it's an epidemic of whatever that new stuff is. What's that called? I don't know. The other one, fentanyl. So since that came about, they're like, oh geez, this other stuff was just lame compared to this stuff. I don't like to glorify anything, but if it works in the community, it works in the community. It works for itself. It does its own job, and it does the job that many others don't. If you have judges and other people, and they think they're just this untouchable entity, that's not good, because you need a well-oiled militia to combat, to, I guess, to combat their their treasonous ways. You know, you really have to get proactivist on them, and you have to not just use your own thinking. You have to use a worldwide thinking of, could everybody do this? And if everyone picks up one rock, is this feasible? Is this affordable? A rock is free. You pick it up off the ground. It's feasible. It works. They used to say, hey, bricks on the side of the road work. Well, they're a little heavy. They don't work, but they get the job done. A little efficient, but heavy. I mean, I've kind of said a lot in a little bit of time, crammed your brain so full of where my mind's at. But understand, unless the system as a whole stays intact, you follow the law, you follow the federal guidelines and the rules, you know the law by the back of your hand, you've studied the law, and then you know when they're falsifying things against you, you know when they're lying against you, then you know this is never going to work for you. Okay, this life is never going to work. You're never going to be rich. You're always going to be poor. And the only way to bridge the gap is really what I'm saying right now. And it isn't going to make any sense to you. You're going to be mad. You're going to be frustrated. You're going to be like, why does my life not work? Why can I not feed my kids? Why have I been poor my entire life? Why can I not break this generational curse? Well, one, you got to be willing to not break the law. Two, you got to be willing to file some federal lawsuits. You got to sue some people over hot coffee in your lap. You have to, there's insurance things that have to be done. I've seen other people that they do very, very nefarious things to get to where they're at. And I don't ever see them getting caught. I don't ever see them going to jail or prison. They put $1 million in the bank and then they go live out on a lake somewhere. And they continually, once a year, you get in that accident and everything's paid for. They just go out there and play bumper cars. It's sick. It's a sick game. But these are what these if you looked at their records and their driving records of police officers and what they're putting claims in on through the insurance companies, it would blow your mind. The investigation is just so massive that there's too many people. The insurance companies would like you to think they're paying attention, but in all actual, they're just like, oh, get out of your car, don't say anything, and we'll pay out. But we only pay out to the rich people. The poor people pay in, but the rich people got to, they get paid. This is just a system of keeping us down, keeping us paying in a high bracket because they keep giving us speeding tickets because we have to take a certain road to work. But you never see the police up on 57th Street running a speed trap. You never see them anywhere else. You've got cars that are doing triple digits on 57th Street, BMWs and Maseratis and Nissan 350Zs, Nissan Skylines, the Fast and the Furious cars with tucked wiring and the hoods off. You look. I mean, I don't know how to say this. I'm not being a hater, but what I am saying is your car's worth triple times my car. By the time you go by me doing 100, if that was me doing that same 100-mile-per-hour speed, I'd be pulled over, back of a squad car, handcuffed. And I'm only going 20 over at that point on a Sunday. I don't see the big deal, but you see, like these guys are drag racing all night long down 41st Street after 10 o'clock. They know it's your shift change. They know what you're doing. There's people dying nightly because of street racing. But you just allow it. See, I don't know what to say anymore. But the advice of me is free because I don't get paid for doing this. If it can help someone else out before I'm gone and before I must exit stage left, I know my time is limited. Um, Not a lot of people will learn. Many people will go down the same road at a high rate of speed and they won't heed a warning. They won't say, hey, I'm just going to stop and save my life and this is all I got to do it. There's a lot of people out there that are just, their head is so stuck in the sand, you have to do PSAs, public service announcements. And if you don't, you lose a lot of people because you're not educating them. You're not telling them how to behave, how to act, how to morally be, how to mentally be, how to think with your heart, not your head. There's a lot of just crazy people out there that are just they're just they're hurting each other every day in, day out. And so the judges and the cops think, oh, we're staving this off. No, they're not at all. They're not helping anything. Look, I've had a good time, and 26 minutes in, I got to make sure that I'm paying attention to my time. It's already 10:10. I'm gonna let you guys go. I mean, I could spend some more time on here, but um, like I said, no money equals shorter live stream. That's all I can say. Um, no StreamYards, no extra thrills. You get my interpretation of what I think, and you don't get to comment back. I'd love to hear your comments, and I'd love to. I'm I'm getting excited about the comment section. When you guys got something to say, just say it in the comment section, and I'll get back to you. And I get them right to my phone, so this is a direct link to me, and I can pay attention to my clients and my customers better. If you're not a paying customer, don't bother commenting. Don't bother saying some rude stuff. Don't. But if there's something you want to know about, like the 7 years, if you want me to get more in depth on it, and how much time and why I got as much as I did and what happened, um, again, if you pay the right price, I'm saying 7 years. If you pay $7, I think that's pretty. That would incline an answer, and um, how many years and why and what the significance is and how many people they've sentenced to 70 years. Maybe we can look up some things through Google or whatever and just try and bridge the gap with knowledge, because if we have these things that teach us the proper way to think and learn and talk and communicate, then maybe we can get through the day a little bit smarter than what we did yesterday, and you don't have to be sitting in a jail cell or a prison cell like I did. We have a lot of ignorant people. We have a lot of cops that did not get past the sixth grade. They were bullied as a kid. They were put in a locker. They were hung up on the hook, and they sat there for 10 minutes too long. And now they turned into those same people that are on top of roofs doing what they doing. Um, if we don't educate our own people in our own community, what are we doing? Like, what is the point of what we're doing? And if you see, but you don't really see, you're still judging people. You're judging your neighbor. You walk out, you're like, oh, he left his you're all up in his business because he did something wrong. But the bottom line is, did you ever tell him what he was doing wrong? Did you ever say why that was morally? Did you make a point to say and correct him, but in a good way, in a positive way, in a way that was respectful? Or did you just go over the fence and be like, hey, you can't put your fence up here, and get in his face and yell at him? Again, you see, but you don't see. You just blind rage. Why do they got shows like Road Wars and Road Rage and everything's caught on camera now? Not a good thing. Not a good thing. But anyways, I've enjoyed my last video. I got 100 views on it. Very excited about 100 views. I don't think you guys understand. For an hour's worth of time, I think 100 views is great. Um, I enjoy all your comments. I enjoy when you do comment. Please donate. Links in the description for my PayPal. I currently have $0.00 in there, so a dollar would help. $5 would help, a minimum probably, because I don't know if they accept anything less anymore than five. All these credit card companies, by the time you give me $5, I'll probably get 444. I don't know. Yeah, with that, I'm definitely on my way, and educating one more person that maybe was not educated, or a poor person that maybe you have a cell phone, you're sitting on the side of the road and you're trying to figure out a way to get unhomeless or unmessed with by the police every day, or maybe you got to move locations. You got to, locate your local resources, and if you need help, I got places all around pretty much America that can take you in and coach you back to healthiness, recovery, and I got a program that works 96% of the time, where when you're struggling and you think there's nothing left, you can still, they give you something, and they'll give you that hope that you need. Especially if you didn't get it from me on my website. Sometimes my website's a little too edgy. It's a little take it or leave it. Maybe I'm not open and inviting enough and nice enough. Some people, you either like me or you hate me. It's weird. Like it or love it, though, I'm here for a minute and then I'll be gone again, like Houdini. There's no rhyme or reason for what I do, why I do, how I do. It's just that I do. Thy will be done, not my own. Yeah. God bless. Peace. Peace out. And one love. Have a good day.